Good morning, guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm squeezing the video in just before the Southampton game for very good reason, a delicious reason. Kayky is a Manchester City player. I think it's actually pronounced Kayky or something like that, but I'm sorry, mate, you best get used to that because you're over in Manchester. We love a nickname, and unfortunately, Kayky is going to stick because it sounds adorable, sweet, and delicious, like your style of play, my friend. City have signed him, and today I'm going to run through everything you need to know about our new Brazilian wonderkid, and I can't wait to watch this young, talented player play for Manchester City Football Club with a little bit of luck. Before I do that, though, I want to say go and download OneFootball. If you want to help support one of your favourite content creators like myself, click the link in the description below. If you want to keep up to date with all the news from across the world of Manchester City, click the link in the description below. If you want to get all the stats about your favourite players and all the transfer goodness, of course, click the link in the description below. It's a fantastic app that I've been using for over 3 or 4 years now. I absolutely recommend it, and you should have it on your phone like over 10 million people do for the big price of £0, $0, €0. It's free, basically. Go and download it and get all your Manchester City news. So, yeah, Manchester City announced yesterday, 8 PM yesterday, which I would already had a few glasses of wine at this point. So what were you doing, Man City? There was no way I was doing a video at that point. That they'd signed on mancity.com, Kayky. I'm going to read from the article now. It says, Brazilian forward Kayky has started training with Manchester City. It was announced in April that the club had reached an agreement with Fluminese for the 18-year-old, who has now joined up with Pep Guardiola's first-team squad at the City Football Academy. The Brazilian youth international has penned a 5-year deal, which keeps him at the Etihad Stadium until the summer of 2026. Kayky went on to say himself, "It's a dream to be here. I've always followed Manchester City as some Brazilian players are here, already here. I'm very, very happy." And I'm very happy as well. I love these signings. I love these random signings where you get a young Brazilian wonder kid who could potentially become a star before he's a star, if that makes sense. These are the ones that I find genuinely interesting. These potential household names that no one knows, especially when they've got a name as cool as Kayky as well, or Kayky for the sake of accuracy. But either way, this is a really interesting signing, mainly because, as it appears so far, he hasn't been farmed out straight away to the City Football Group loan factory. That could come in time, but all reports seem to suggest that he is going to hang around here, which is very, very interesting. We did have to wait for him to turn 18 before we could get him over at Manchester City, but that, of course, now has happened. When did he turn 18? In June. I don't know what's going on, if there's some kind of work permit thing or something like that, but either way, he's here now at Manchester City, and he is a Blue. And yesterday, he was training with the first team, which is fantastic. So, who is he? Who is this lad that you may be thinking or maybe asking? Well, he's 5'9". He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's not the smallest either. Pretty standard for a winger, and he is still a teenager, 18 years old, and he still looks like a teenager as well. Kayky baby, he basically is. That was weird. Basically, he's still got a very slim frame as well, basically. You can tell he looks a little bit like a young Neymar. I can see why people are saying that, even just his appearance when you watch him move with the ball. You can see why the comparisons have been made, because he shares that same slight frame, but same acceleration burst that a young Neymar did. And basically, he puts a lot of his phenomenal dribbling skills down to his background in futsal, which is obviously a very popular Brazilian take on football. Basically, everything you can expect from a Brazilian winger. And this is a genuinely interesting signing. In terms of the actual fee, well, it's cheap, man. It's one of those things where you can't really complain. You can't really complain about the fee, regardless of whether it becomes a massive success or not, because it's around 9 million quid, 10 million euros or something like that. But either way, it's not a lot of money for a guy with immense potential, potentially. Genuinely seems to be a really, really exciting young signing. So I'm very curious to see how he gets on at Manchester City. But the fee, to me, I mean, I'm sure at some point we may recuperate that if he doesn't quite settle in, or very worst, a minor loss. But either way, it's not the kind of fee to worry about. It's substantial enough to take it relatively seriously, but it's still relatively standard City Football Group kind of fee. Well, in terms of his style of actual play, well, this is the exciting bit. I mean, his pace and acceleration are incredible, to quote Pep Guardiola. Generally very, very impressive, especially with the ball at his feet, which of course is absolutely, it's essential for a winger who wants to beat someone. I mean, he's only light, once again. He's not the biggest guy, he's quite slim, but that probably helps him stop so aggressively and accelerate so quickly as well. He changes directions as quickly as the wing can change. Genuinely, really dynamic dribbler. And he loves to play as well, initially kind of off the right quite drifting inwards. Your typical modern day winger, really. I mean, what I like about him as well, for what I've seen on the clips online, I'm not a Kayky expert. What I did do is read loads of scout reports, and what I did do is watch loads of videos and try to gauge how I think he plays in general to put in this. And what I've gathered from him, he seems to be really dynamic. He doesn't always want the ball at his feet, which I like, which Guardiola will appreciate as well. A good winger should know how to run in behind. Think about Sterling at his very best, or Sarni, the amount of times they received passes from Silva and De Bruyne. They should know how to run in behind, receive the ball, and finish with aplomb. And very much a modern winger trait, that, as well as beating people. And he seems to be able to understand that sometimes he has to be able to do that. Of course, he's only young. There's definitely things he can improve. His positioning potentially could improve. But he seems to already understand the basics of his positional awareness and what he's meant to do out there. And he could be, hopefully, a very coachable player. A lot of young Brazilian players can be quite humble, and hopefully we got that with Kayky as well, in the way that Gabriel Jesus was quite humble. Basically, he's got a lot going for him. A lot. The kind of stuff you'd expect from a Brazilian winger, basically. Like lightning acceleration, great close control, genuinely really good close control. His first touch looks genuinely like velvet. Really, really smooth first touch. And when you combine that, of course, with that acceleration and that immense dribbling ability, which he has taken into professional football as well, not just academy football, where you've got a very, very, very exciting young prospect. He's almost unstoppable at times in one-on-one situations. And I think it is that slight frame and that acceleration. It's really impressive. I saw this stat as well. He completes 78% of his dribbles against older and physically mature players. Basically, he got his stats actually went up in terms of dribble success from youth level to first team level, which is really impressive. I'm not sure why, but that's a really encouraging stat, basically. Also, in terms of his style of play, he seems to be a really good passer. He seems to be able not just to dribble, but find those through balls in behind the channels, behind the defenders. He's got an eye for that, which, once again, the best, most creative wingers do have that ability as well, which Guardiola will appreciate. You've got to be able to play make as well as score and create yourself and dribble yourself. And he does seem to have that. Well, in terms of his actual position, well, he seems to be a left-footed, right-sided winger. He seems to be very much the kind of guy who'll go on the right, cut in and run at people. I mean, from the right-wing position, he seems to have a relatively clever and diverse mixture of movements, either drifting centrally to play between the lines, or finding players who can finish a little bit better than him or something like that, or going right and then kind of cutting back in across the byline. He seems to be very basically dynamic, and I like that. And it does, once again, translate into runs behind as well. So he'll often basically play it on the right and cut in. It seems to be his best position, and fair enough. I mean, he could play on the left, he could do that. But either way, what I'm seeing basically is, I'm not saying he's Neymar, but essentially Neymar is right-footed, cuts in off the left. He seems to be left-footed, cuts in on the right. A very similar style of player, which is always very, very, very exciting. In terms of when will he play, well, that is the big question, isn't it? That is the big question. Man City's website did say he will continue to be involved in the senior setup over the coming months as part of a pool of young players whose development is aided by training regularly with Guardiola and his coaching staff. Simon Bukowski, a Manchester Even News reporter, said he's already in Manchester sooner than expected and will likely stick around the squad like the likes of Delap and Palmer and so on, and could even make his debut this season. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't know. It doesn't seem anyone knows yet if he's registered or whatever. But the impression I'm getting, if he's training with the first team and so on, you'd expect him to be eligible for some games, wouldn't you? I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we do see him with the EDS, maybe to get some match fitness or whatever. But either way, he's not probably played for a while, so he needs a little bit of time. But just imagine he hangs around and impresses. Just imagine he does actually end up involved, I don't know, in the Carabao Cup or something at some point. I don't really know. There's a little bit of mystery around this transfer, which I'm really, really intrigued by. I like it when it's like this sometimes. I like it when you don't really know what's going to happen with a signing, because, it makes it all... I guess the point I'm making is when you support Manchester City, everything's relatively known. You're signing world stars, you're winning games, you've got some of the best players, but occasionally a little gem will drop on your doorstep like this, and you don't know much about him. Most people have never heard of him. He's got a funny name, Kayky. He seems really exciting. He's a Brazilian winger, and is there anything more exciting in football than a Brazilian winger at the very best? Probably not, if we're being honest. And he's ours, and he's training with the first team, and it does make you think, what if he impresses? What if he becomes this random last minute kind of like super sub off the bench or something like that? I don't know. We're going to have to pay close attention to this. But the fact that he's already training with the first team does suggest some kind of work permit. He's over here now. Like, he's obviously been allowed to move and live over here, which is... I didn't expect that personally. It suggests that maybe he can be involved. Of course, as well, he's only 18 years old, so he'll be on an under-21 list potentially. But either way, it's really, really, really interesting. Kayky is a Manchester City player. Kayky, he's going to be Kayky. I'm really, really sorry, but ask... Not sure if Nicola heard that. You heard Nicola, she said it in the background. She sat there back there doing the makeup before going out. Said it's going to go from a cupcake to a triple tier cake. A wedding cake. That's what he's going to be at Manchester City. Right now, he's just a little adorable little cupcake. That's the analogy we're using. But either way, I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited for it. That is what I know about Kayky. Let me know down in the comments what you make of this. Thank you to my Patreon producer, Scott Denemy. I'm going to go and get ready to head to the Etihad for the City versus Southampton. I hope you enjoyed this video. We signed a cake, and I'm very excited about this. Big love to every single one of you. Hit that subscribe button. I'm getting closer and closer to 60k. Do me a massive favor, hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and let me know your thoughts and expectations on the Brazilian wonder kid.